The alien training arena stretched as far as the eye could see. A massive structure suspended above the rocky surface of Zyphar. Floating platforms hovered above the ground, connected by invisible energy fields that allowed trainees to move quickly without touching the rough terrain below. Holographic projections of past battles flickered around the edges, displaying strategies and maneuvers from creatures of countless worlds. Eli stood at the center, gripping the controls of his combat drone with sweaty hands, his heart pounding. He was just a teenager, one of the youngest humans ever sent to the intergalactic training program. And everything about the arena made him feel small. The drone in front of him was sleek and metallic, its limbs moving with an elegance that Eli struggled to match. He had watched the other trainees, tall, powerful aliens who had trained for years, move their drones with a fluidity he could only dream of. The first attempt at controlling his machine had ended in disaster, the drone crashing into a wall of energy fields and sending a shower of sparks across the arena. The other trainees had laughed, their voices echoing off the high walls. Eli's face burned with embarrassment, but he tried to keep his hands steady, determined to show that humans were capable. Pathetic, a deep voice growled from above. Eli looked up and saw Varkan, his alien trainer. Varkan's scaly skin gleamed under the arena lights, and his eyes glowed a cold green as he studied Eli. He was taller than any human, his muscular frame intimidating, and his claws were sharper than any blade. The other trainees immediately straightened, showing respect, but Eli felt a wave of dread wash over him. "You humans are weak," Varkan said, his voice echoing across the arena. "Your hands shake. Your minds are slow. And your machines. Ha! Your machines reflect your incompetence. Watch closely. And maybe you will learn something before you fail completely." Eli clenched his jaw, gripping the controls tighter. He had heard humans were underestimated in the galaxy, but this felt worse than he imagined. It was one thing to be outmatched, it was another to be humiliated in front of so many eyes, alien and human alike. He tried to ignore the whispers, the pointed stares, and the cruel smirks of his fellow trainees. "Begin," Varkan commanded. The drone leapt forward, its movements jerky and uneven, as Eli struggled to coordinate the controls. It was supposed to dodge the hovering energy spheres projected by the arena, but instead, it collided with one, sparks flying from the impact. Eli stumbled in his seat, trying to regain control. Varkan's eyes narrowed, and with a sudden motion, he struck Eli's shoulder with the tip of his claw. The pain made Eli yelp and lose control of the drone entirely, sending it spinning across the arena. A wave of laughter erupted from the other trainees. Eli's cheeks burned hotter than the artificial suns above them, and for a moment, he felt like giving up. "Pathetic human," Varkan hissed, towering over him. "You cannot even handle a simple machine. Perhaps the stories of human cleverness are lies. Perhaps your species is only good for labor and weakness." Eli's hands shook, but beneath the humiliation, a small spark of defiance ignited. He clenched the controls again, examining the drone carefully. He noticed something the aliens didn't. The drone's balance system had a tiny flaw, a programming oversight that caused it to overcompensate when moving too quickly. No alien had pointed this out, and no alien seemed to care. But Eli's mind, trained to notice details in machines from years of tinkering on Earth, recognized it immediately. He adjusted the controls, compensating for the drone's flaw with precise movements. Slowly, deliberately, he regained some control, dodging a small hovering sphere. The other trainees snickered, but Eli ignored them. He could feel the drone responding to his inputs, almost as if it trusted him more than he expected. Varkan's tail flicked with annoyance. "Do you even understand what you are doing?" he demanded, his voice a mixture of anger and disbelief. "You are a human. You should fail." Eli's heart raced, but he whispered to himself, "We're not weak. We just think differently." He adjusted his approach, using small, calculated movements rather than brute speed. The drone began moving with a rhythm that no one had predicted. It dodged the next energy sphere, then the one after, moving in a way that looked almost elegant. Varkan's glowing eyes widened. The alien leaned closer, curious despite his anger. "What is this?" he muttered. "How is this human?" Before he could finish, Eli made the drone leap forward, not just dodging but anticipating the pattern of the next spheres. It spun mid-air, landing perfectly on a platform above the others. The crowd of trainees fell silent, stunned by what they had just witnessed. Eli couldn't believe it either. His hands were still trembling, but the spark inside him grew brighter. He had done something no one expected. Varkon hissed and bared his teeth. "A fluke," he spat, though his voice lacked the certainty it had before. "A single lucky accident," but Eli knew it wasn't luck. It was observation, analysis, and understanding. Something humans had in abundance, even if the aliens refused to see it. After the session, the trainees were dismissed to their quarters. Eli walked slowly, his muscles aching and his pride bruised, but his mind was racing. He needed help, someone who could refine his ideas and show him how to push the drone even further. He had no allies here among the aliens. They saw humans as weak, nothing more than a joke. He returned to his quarters and began sketching, writing down notes about the drone's system, and imagining small modifications that could give him an edge. Sparks of hope mixed with determination, pushing him forward. He worked late into the artificial night, unaware that someone was observing him from the shadows. Rena, the human mechanic, had slipped into the facility unseen. She had tracked Eli's assignment to Zyphar and had been waiting for the right moment to intervene. She had studied alien technology for years, making enhancements that even their best engineers never considered. Now, she watched the young human with interest. He was trying, failing, and learning in ways that no alien could appreciate. His potential was enormous, but untapped. The next morning, Eli returned to the arena for another training session. His hands were steadier, his mind sharper, and his eyes more focused. He noticed patterns in the drone's movements that the aliens seemed blind to, small vulnerabilities they ignored. For the first time, he began to feel that humans had a place here, not as laborers or weaklings, but as thinkers and innovators. Varkon arrived, his massive frame casting a shadow over the arena floor. "Today, human," he said, his voice dripping with mockery, "you will finally prove why your species is insignificant." Eli clenched his jaw but ignored the insult. He focused on the drone, moving with precision. For the first few minutes, it seemed the aliens were correct. The drone struggled under his command, jerking awkwardly as spheres flew toward it. But Eli remembered the flaw he had discovered yesterday. He adjusted the inputs carefully, compensating for the imbalance. Slowly, the drone began to move in a way that caught even Varkon off guard. It dodged, spun, and countered with a timing that seemed impossible. Whispers spread across the arena. Other trainees stopped laughing, watching the human with cautious curiosity. Varkon's green eyes narrowed. "Impossible," he muttered, stepping closer to observe. "This human should not," but before he could finish, Eli executed a daring move, making the drone leap high and land perfectly on a narrow platform above the energy spheres. The crowd gasped. Eli's heart pounded, but he kept calm, focusing on the machine as if it were an extension of his own body. For the first time, Eli felt a surge of pride. He wasn't just surviving. He was learning, adapting, and showing the aliens that human intelligence could match their brute strength. Even though Varkon's pride would never allow him to admit it, Eli had begun to prove that humans were more than they seemed. After the session, as the trainees left, Eli found a small note slipped under his door. It was written in neat handwriting. "You can do more than you know. Seek me in the lower maintenance bay tonight. R." Eli's eyes widened. He didn't recognize the handwriting, but something about it felt reassuring. Someone else believed in human potential. Someone else was willing to help. That night, he slipped out quietly, following the directions in the note. In the dimly lit maintenance bay, he saw a figure working on a drone, making precise adjustments. The figure turned, and Eli's heart leapt. She was human, and she smiled at him. "You're Eli," she said. "I've been watching." You're clever. And you notice what they ignore. That's exactly why humans can compete with these aliens. Eli felt a mix of relief and excitement. For the first time, he wasn't alone. Someone understood him. Someone believed that humans could rise above mockery, above weakness, and show their worth. I can help you, she continued. But you have to trust me. We'll make your drone something they'll never expect. Eli nodded, feeling hope ignite inside him. This was just the beginning. Together, they would change the way aliens saw humans, and maybe even prove that humans were not to be underestimated. As he left the maintenance bay, Eli looked back at the arena. The floating platforms and energy fields no longer seemed intimidating. They were challenges, puzzles to solve, and he was ready. No longer just a mockery, he was a human with a plan, and a plan was far more powerful than brute strength. The maintenance bay was dimly lit. The soft hum of machinery filling the air. Eli entered cautiously, his eyes scanning the rows of drones, tools, and alien devices scattered across the room. He had never been here before, and the sight made his mind spin with possibilities. Among all the equipment, one figure stood out, a human, smaller in size than most aliens, but with an aura of confidence and focus that seemed to dominate the space. Rena looked up from the drone she was working on, her hands moving with practiced precision. You made it, she said, her voice calm but carrying a sense of urgency. Good. I wasn't sure if Varkan's warnings would scare you off. Eli felt a mix of relief and nervousness. I want to learn. I don't want to be weak anymore. Rena smiled faintly. Weak? Humans aren't weak, Eli. You've just been measured by the wrong standards. The aliens look for brute strength, speed, or flashy combat. They ignore clever thinking, innovation, and strategy. That's where humans shine. Eli watched her work, fascinated. Her hands moved over the drone's circuitry, adjusting tiny processors, rerouting power lines, and installing microprograms that seemed almost invisible. What are you doing? He asked, trying not to sound too ignorant. I'm enhancing your drone, Rena explained. Not to make it stronger in brute force that would be obvious but smarter. It will anticipate movements, correct flaws, and even suggest strategies while you control it. You'll still be learning, still making decisions, but it won't get stuck like it did yesterday. Eli's heart raced. This was what he had been waiting for. Someone who understood humans and believed in their potential. Will it really work? He asked. Rena shrugged, smiling faintly. It has to. But remember, technology alone isn't enough. You have to think. Humans succeed because we observe, analyze, and act differently. If you rely only on the machine, it won't help you. For the next few hours, Rena guided Eli through the modifications. She explained how the drone's balance system could be fine-tuned, how its sensors could be recalibrated to detect subtle patterns in the energy fields, and how minor adjustments in software could turn predictable alien training routines into opportunities for clever maneuvers. Eli absorbed every word, practicing as she instructed, his mind buzzing with ideas. Remember, Rena said, leaning over him. They expect you to fail. Varkan enjoys mocking humans. If you surprise him, you'll gain more than just a victory. You'll gain respect, and maybe even change how humans are seen here. Eli nodded, determination hardening inside him. I won't let him humiliate me again. Over the next few days, Eli and Rena trained in secret. They worked on simulations first, small arenas where only they could observe the results. Eli learned how to control the drone with subtle adjustments rather than sudden moves, how to anticipate the flow of energy fields, and how to exploit flaws that even Varkan didn't notice. Every session made him faster, sharper, and more confident. One evening, Rena brought something new, a compact module that could be attached to the drone. This will allow it to adapt during battle, she explained. It learns from each move, making decisions based on patterns rather than just your commands. If you combine it with your instincts, it will be nearly unstoppable. Eli's eyes widened. Nearly unstoppable? Are you sure? Not invincible, Rena said. Don't let it make you lazy. You have to think, adjust, and lead it. But yes, it can turn the tide if you play it smart. The next morning, Eli returned to the main arena. Varkon's shadow stretched across the floor as the alien trainer watched the trainees line up. Today, humans, he said, his voice dripping with disdain, you will demonstrate why your kind cannot compete. Fail quickly, and spare me the embarrassment of watching longer. Eli swallowed hard but felt the quiet confidence building inside him. Today wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that humans could compete through intelligence, strategy, and innovation. When his turn came, he activated the drone, feeling Rena's enhancements integrate seamlessly. The other trainees glanced at him with curiosity, some sneering, some whispering. Varkon's green eyes burned with expectation. He wanted Eli to fail, to make a spectacle of him, to confirm his prejudice against humans. The drone moved forward, its motion smoother than ever. Energy spheres approached, and Eli adjusted the controls subtly, letting the drone anticipate the patterns rather than reacting blindly. To everyone's surprise, it dodged and countered with precision, landing perfectly on a narrow platform that no human had managed before. A murmur spread through the arena. Even Varkon's tail twitched, a sign of agitation. Impossible, he muttered. That human. Eli kept his focus, ignoring the whispers. He remembered Rena's words. Think differently. Observe. Adapt. He spotted the rhythm in the drone's movements, tiny delays that even the aliens overlooked. Using these patterns, he guided his drone to exploit openings, dodging attacks while countering with careful maneuvers that destabilized the enemy drones. The other trainees stared in disbelief. A human, one of the youngest, was outperforming aliens who had trained for years. The laughter from before had vanished, replaced by cautious respect, or perhaps fear of embarrassment if they underestimated him. Varkon stepped closer, his massive claws scratching the arena floor. Stop this, he demanded. Your success is meaningless. The patterns are obvious. You only got lucky. Eli's heart pounded, but he ignored the anger in Varkon's voice. The enhancements allowed the drone to communicate minor suggestions, but every move was still his decision. He pushed the drone to execute a daring maneuver, spinning mid-air, dodging 2 energy spheres at once, and landing directly behind a rival alien drone, disrupting its balance. The crowd gasped. Humans are clever, Rena's voice whispered in his ear, though she remained hidden. You're showing them what they ignore. Eli's confidence grew with each move. He wasn't just controlling the drone. He was leading it, thinking ahead, and using strategy the aliens had never considered. By the end of the session, the drone had outperformed several alien trainees in skill, precision, and timing. Eli stood, breathless but exhilarated, and felt a spark of triumph he had never known before. After the training, Varkon's face was a mask of controlled fury. A fluke, he hissed. But the doubt in his voice was unmistakable. The other trainees avoided his gaze, unsure of how to react. They had always looked down on humans, but Eli had shown them that humans could learn, adapt, and outperform when underestimated. Later that evening, Eli returned to the maintenance bay, eager to discuss the day's events with Rena. She was waiting, tools scattered around her, a small smile on her face. I saw what you did today, she said. You didn't just survive, you improved faster than I expected. The aliens don't know it yet, but they are learning something important. They underestimated humans. Eli felt a rush of pride but also a quiet determination. I want to keep going. I want to show them humans aren't just strong. We're smart too. Rena nodded. Exactly. And the more we improve the drone, the more we can challenge their assumptions. But remember, the aliens will try to anticipate our methods. We have to stay ahead, think creatively, and never repeat the same pattern twice. For days, Eli and Rena continued their secret training. They experimented with different strategies, tested new software enhancements, and refined drone movements. Eli's skills grew exponentially. And with Rina's guidance, he learned not only to follow commands, but also to predict outcomes, control multiple variables, and execute complex maneuvers. The more he trained, the more he realized that human ingenuity wasn't just a tool, it was a weapon. While aliens relied on raw strength, predictable tactics, and brute force, humans could outthink, outmaneuver, and innovate in ways that even the most advanced alien minds often overlooked. One evening, as Eli adjusted the drone's targeting system, he paused and looked at Rina. "Do you think we're ready to show them?" Rina studied him carefully. "Almost. The key is confidence and subtlety. Show them the drone's abilities, but let them underestimate you at first. Then, when they think they have the advantage, surprise them. That's when humans shine. That's when we prove our worth." Eli nodded, understanding that the battle ahead wasn't just about drones, it was about perception, strategy, and human spirit. He wasn't going to prove strength. He was going to prove intelligence, creativity, and the ability to adapt. The next day, back in the arena, Eli faced the first test of their combined work. He activated the enhanced drone and stepped forward. Varkon's eyes narrowed, watching the human approach, expecting failure, mocking every movement. But Eli moved differently this time, calculated, precise, and confident. The drone reacted flawlessly, anticipating the obstacles and adjusting automatically to the patterns of energy spheres. The aliens around the arena whispered among themselves, "The human, he's different. Impossible. Look at that coordination." Eli's chest swelled with quiet pride. He had learned to harness his mind, his instincts, and the enhancements in perfect harmony. He was no longer just a mockery or an underdog, he was a strategist, a thinker, and a human who could compete with even the most advanced aliens. By the end of the session, Eli had achieved something remarkable. Not just survival, but excellence. The other trainees, once mocking, now looked at him with cautious respect, and though Varkon refused to admit it, even he had begun to recognize that humans were more than they seemed. As Eli left the arena, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. With Rina's help, he had unlocked potential he didn't know he possessed. The mockery, the pain, and the humiliation had not broken him, they had fueled him. And now, with a partner who believed in human ingenuity, Eli was ready for the challenges that lay ahead. The next stage wouldn't just test his skill, it would test his creativity, strategy, and ability to show that humans were not only capable, but extraordinary. The arena buzzed with energy, the air thick with anticipation. Trainees from dozens of species had gathered, their eyes following every movement on the floating platforms. Holographic displays flickered across the walls, showing previous battles and training exercises. But today was different. Today, all eyes were on Eli, the young human who had quietly risen through the ranks, with a combination of ingenuity, persistence, and guidance from the mysterious human mechanic, Rina. Eli stood at the edge of the arena, gripping the controls of his enhanced drone. Every muscle in his body was tense, yet his mind was calm. He had practiced countless scenarios with Rina, refining every movement, analyzing every possibility. Today wasn't just another training session. This was the public test, a demonstration of human skill in front of the aliens who had mocked him. Varkon, the reptilian trainer, loomed over the central platform, his green eyes blazing with a mixture of anger and curiosity. His claws scraped the floor as he watched Eli. "Human," he growled, his voice carrying across the arena. "Today you will either embarrass yourself or confirm your species' inferiority. Fail quickly, and spare us the disgrace." Eli swallowed hard, but he refused to show fear. "We'll see who underestimates whom," he muttered to himself, recalling Rina's words. Observe, adapt, surprise. He activated the drone, feeling the familiar hum as the enhancements powered up. The first wave of energy spheres launched toward him, moving in patterns designed to overwhelm even the most skilled alien trainees. Eli's fingers danced across the controls, and the drone responded as if it were an extension of his body. It dodged the spheres with smooth precision, anticipating each movement rather than reacting blindly. The crowd fell silent. Alien trainees exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered, "The human. He's different." Others muttered, "Impossible." Even as they leaned forward to watch, Varkon's tail flicked with visible agitation. The human was performing maneuvers that no trainee, alien, or human had executed before. Eli's drone leapt onto a narrow platform, spinning mid-air to avoid simultaneous energy bursts. He noticed a momentary gap in the next wave, a tiny delay between two spheres. Without hesitation, he directed the drone through the opening, landing perfectly behind another trainee's drone and destabilizing it with a precise nudge. The other trainees gasped in shock. "Luck," Varkon hissed, trying to hide the flicker of doubt in his expression. "It is nothing but luck." Eli ignored the insult. Luck had nothing to do with it. Every decision he made, every movement of the drone, was calculated. He was thinking 3 steps ahead, anticipating not only the obstacles but the intentions of his alien opponents. This was human ingenuity in action, and the results were undeniable. As the exercise progressed, Eli faced a series of increasingly difficult challenges. Holographic barriers appeared, drones attacked from multiple directions, and energy fields shifted unpredictably. Every obstacle seemed designed to break him, but he remained focused, adapting seamlessly. The enhancements Rena had installed allowed the drone to learn in real time, but Eli's intuition guided it, making every move smarter than the last. A particularly difficult sequence approached. A set of spinning energy rings, timed to crush any drone that moved too slowly or too recklessly. Trainees had failed this sequence before, some being forced to restart repeatedly. Eli's fingers moved with precision, his mind predicting the rhythm of the rings. He directed the drone to approach at an angle no one else would consider, letting it slide between the rings at the perfect moment. It landed safely on the far platform, the crowd erupting in disbelief and admiration. Varkon's eyes narrowed. His pride was wounded, and he could no longer dismiss the human as a fluke. "This is impossible," he muttered. "No human should move with such precision. It cannot be natural." Eli ignored the alien's muttering, focusing instead on the final obstacle, a towering drone controlled by Varkon himself. The alien's machine was large, powerful, and equipped with advanced weaponry that had bested every trainee before. The moment had come to test the full extent of his training, and Eli felt a surge of determination. The two drones faced each other in the center of the arena. The energy fields around them flickered with intensity, signaling the start of the duel. Varkon's drone lunged first, its claws swinging with brutal force. Eli's drone dodged, spinning gracefully to the side, its movements guided by a combination of Rena's enhancements and his own strategic thinking. For a moment, the arena held its breath. The human drone was faster, smarter, anticipating every strike, countering with precise attacks that destabilized Varkon's massive machine. Each successful maneuver sent shockwaves of disbelief through the spectators. Aliens who had laughed at Eli before now watched with cautious respect. Varkon roared in frustration, striking again and again, but Eli's drone continued to adapt, exploiting even the smallest openings. He could see the pattern in Varkon's attacks, predict his strategy, and respond before the alien realized he was being outmaneuvered. It was a battle not of brute strength, but of intelligence and creativity, a human approach to combat that the aliens had never fully understood. Eli's confidence grew. He directed the drone to perform a daring maneuver. Spinning behind Varkon's drone, while simultaneously activating a stabilizing burst that knocked the alien machine slightly off balance. The crowd gasped as the massive drone teetered, almost falling from the platform. Varkon hissed in anger, his pride wounded by the human's ingenuity. The duel continued, each movement more precise than the last. Eli's drone dodged, countered, and struck with a rhythm that seemed almost impossible. Other trainees whispered among themselves, realizing that humans were not only capable but also brilliant strategists. They had always relied on strength and aggression, but Eli's intelligence was turning the tide. Finally, Eli saw an opening, a momentary lapse in Varkon's defense. The alien's drone had overextended during an aggressive attack, leaving its side vulnerable. Eli didn't hesitate. He directed his drone to exploit the gap, executing a combination of maneuvers that sent Varkon's machine stumbling and crashing into the energy fields. Sparks flew, and the arena erupted in stunned silence. Varkon roared in fury, towering over the wreckage. "Impossible!" he shouted. "This is human cunning. It cannot be." Eli stood tall, his heart racing but his mind clear. He had done it. Not through strength or aggression, but through strategy, observation, and human ingenuity. The crowd, both aliens and humans alike, stared in awe. The tide of respect had shifted, and the humiliating mockery from before was replaced with recognition of what humans could achieve. Rena, hidden in the maintenance bay, allowed herself a small smile. She had seen the human spirit in action. The combination of cleverness, adaptability, and determination. Eli had proven what she had always known. Humans could outthink, outmaneuver, and innovate in ways that even the most advanced aliens often underestimated. As Eli exited the arena, other trainees approached cautiously. Some offered nods of respect. Others remained silent, but watched with curiosity. Even Varkon, though unwilling to admit it, had a flicker of recognition in his glowing eyes. The human had changed something fundamental, the perception of human capability in the eyes of the aliens. Later, Eli and Rena convened in the maintenance bay. "You did more than survive today," Rena said, examining the drone. "You made them rethink everything they assumed about humans. But this is just the beginning. The aliens will learn quickly, and Varkon will adapt. We have to be ready for the next challenge." Eli nodded, understanding the stakes. "I'm ready. I want to keep pushing. Keep proving that humans aren't just strong or clever. We're adaptable. We think differently. And that makes us dangerous in ways they can't predict." Rena smiled. "Exactly. And the next stage will test more than skill. It will test strategy, innovation, and your ability to surprise them when they think they know everything. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? Wade, are you ready for that?" "I am," Eli said firmly. "I won't just survive. I'll show them what humans are capable of." The days that followed were filled with preparation. Eli and Rena refined the drone further, experimenting with new tactics and scenarios. They simulated complex duels, environmental hazards, and unpredictable attacks. Eli's confidence grew with each session, and he began to see patterns in alien thinking that he could exploit. Every flaw, every predictable behavior, became an opportunity. Finally, the next public demonstration arrived. The arena was packed, the energy palpable. Eli stood at the edge, ready to step forward. Varkon's green eyes followed him, a mixture of anger and begrudging curiosity. The alien trainer had expected to crush the human quickly, but Eli had changed the rules of the game. As the drone activated and Eli began the exercise, he felt the familiar hum of the enhancements, the connection to Rena's guidance, and the confidence that came from preparation. This was more than a demonstration, it was a statement. Humans were not weak. Humans were not predictable. Humans could think, adapt, and overcome challenges that others dismissed as impossible. The arena erupted in awe as Eli's drone executed maneuver after maneuver, outsmarting even the most advanced training routines. Varkon's pride was wounded, but the alien could not deny the skill, strategy, and ingenuity of the young human. Every trainee, every observer, began to see humans in a new light. The mockery, the doubt, and the underestimation had been replaced with respect, amazement, and a cautious recognition of human potential. By the end of the demonstration, Eli had not only survived but dominated the arena in a way that no one had anticipated. He had shown that humans were not just capable, they were exceptional when they applied their minds, observed carefully, and acted with creativity and courage. As Eli stepped back, he felt a surge of pride and determination. This was not the end. It was a turning point. Humans had shown their strength, not just in muscle or technology, but in intelligence, strategy, and the ability to think differently. The stage was set for the ultimate confrontation, one that would test every skill he had learned, every enhancement Rena had provided, and the full potential of human ingenuity against the might of the alien trainer. Eli glanced at Rena, who gave him a small nod. Together, they had started something remarkable. The next challenge would be even greater. But Eli was ready. Humans had proven they could rise above mockery, surpass expectations, and redefine what it meant to be strong in a galaxy that had long underestimated them. The arena was alive with tension. Floating platforms hovered above the rocky floor, energy fields flickering in anticipation of the final duel. Every trainee, every observer, and even Varkon himself had gathered to witness the culmination of the human's journey. Eli stood at the edge of the central platform, his enhanced drone hovering calmly before him. The lessons, practice, and secret training with Rena had all led to this moment. He wasn't just a participant anymore. He was a contender, a strategist, and a symbol of human ingenuity. Varkon stepped forward, his massive claws clanging against the platform. His green eyes glowed brighter than ever. A mixture of anger, pride, and disbelief. "Human," he hissed, his voice carrying across the arena. "Today, you will face me. No tricks, no enhancements, just skill. Prove your worth, or fail spectacularly." Eli didn't flinch. He knew Varkon underestimated him, as he had always done. But this time, Eli had more than just determination. He had insight, strategy, and experience. "I'm ready," he said simply, activating the drone. The alien trainer activated his own massive combat drone, its armor gleaming and weapons flashing. The hum of energy fields intensified as the two machines faced each other. The arena fell silent, the spectators holding their breath. Every move mattered, every decision counted. Varkon lunged first, his drone swinging a massive claw with terrifying speed. Eli guided his machine with precision, dodging smoothly, and landing a counterstrike that tapped against Varkon's armor, testing weaknesses he had observed in earlier sessions. Sparks flew, and the crowd gasped. For the first time, they saw a human not only survive, but challenge one of the most formidable aliens in the arena. "You've learned well," Varkon growled, masking his astonishment with anger. Eli nodded inwardly, understanding the truth in that statement. Strength alone was Varkon's domain, but humans had a different weapon: creativity and adaptability. He guided his drone to circle around Varkon's machine, baiting it into overextending. When the massive claw swung too far, Eli made his move, directing the drone to strike precisely at the armor's joints, exploiting the tiny weaknesses he had memorized. The alien roared in fury as the machine wobbled, barely regaining balance. The spectators murmured, astonished at the precision of the human's strikes. Eli felt a surge of confidence. This was what humans did best: observe, analyze, and act where others could not anticipate. Varkon's attacks grew faster, more aggressive. He relied on brute force, overwhelming the arena with sheer power. But Eli's drone was agile, adapting in real time to every assault. The enhancements Rena had provided allowed the drone to make subtle corrections instantly. But it was Eli's strategic thinking that made each move lethal. He predicted Varkon's strikes, used the environment to his advantage, and set traps with the floating platforms and energy fields. At one point, Varkon's drone struck a platform with enough force to shift it slightly. Many would have panicked, but Eli saw opportunity. He guided his drone to the tilted surface, using it as leverage for a spin maneuver that sent him behind Varkon's machine. With a precise strike, he knocked out a small but critical stabilizer, causing the alien drone to stumble once again. The arena erupted in whispers of disbelief. A human was controlling the battlefield. Varkon hissed, his pride wounded more than his machine. "Impossible!" he roared. "You cannot think fast enough to outmaneuver me." Eli's lips pressed into a determined line. "Watch me," he whispered to himself. He adjusted his drone's positioning. Moving with patience and precision, he noticed Varkon's machine repeated a slight pattern when recovering from aggressive strikes, a small rhythm that the alien did not realize. Eli exploited it, guiding his drone to dodge, counter, and destabilize with flawless timing. The duel intensified. Sparks flew, metal groaned, and the arena's energy fields flared. Every spectator felt the tension in the air. The humans watching felt pride. The aliens felt doubt. This was no longer a test of strength. It was a battle of intellect, creativity, and adaptability. Eli remembered Rena's advice. Observe, adapt, surprise. He let Varkon think he had an opening, then executed a series of unexpected maneuvers. The drone dodged to the left, spun, and struck from above, targeting weak points that no one thought to defend. Varkon's machine teetered dangerously. The alien hissed in frustration, realizing that brute force alone could no longer dominate this fight. The human crowd in the arena cheered quietly, inspired by Eli's courage and ingenuity. The alien trainees watched in awe, whispers spreading across the stands. "Humans are clever. Humans can think." Eli pressed forward, careful not to overextend. Each move was calculated, each strike purposeful. He guided his drone to use the environment creatively, energy fields as shields, floating platforms as traps, gaps in Varkon's machine's movements as opportunities. The dance of metal and energy continued, each second raising the stakes higher. Varkon's frustration reached its peak. "Enough!" he roared. "I will crush you with raw power." The alien swung his massive claw in a final attempt to overwhelm the human. Eli's drone twisted, flipped, and landed behind Varkon's machine. In a single, precise maneuver, he struck the control joints, destabilizing the alien drone completely. It teetered, sparks flying, and crashed into the energy field, failing to recover. The arena erupted into a stunned silence, followed by whispers of awe and admiration. Varkon's chest heaved, his pride wounded but his mind, slowly recognizing the truth he refused to admit. The human had outsmarted him. Eli's strategy, creativity, and ability to think differently had triumphed over brute strength and years of training. Eli guided his drone to a safe landing, stepping back and looking across the arena. The spectators, humans and aliens alike, stared in amazement. The young human had changed perceptions. The mockery, the doubt, and the underestimation had been replaced with respect, admiration, and cautious recognition of human potential. Rena appeared from the shadows, her eyes shining with pride. She had seen the full extent of Eli's skill, strategy, and courage. The human spirit had triumphed, not through raw strength, but through intellect, adaptability, and ingenuity. Varkon, though unwilling to speak his admiration aloud, lowered his head slightly, acknowledging the human's victory in the only way he could. Eli had proven what Rena had always believed. Humans were clever, adaptable, and capable of greatness, even against the strongest and most advanced alien opponents. After the duel, the arena emptied slowly, the energy buzzing with conversations about the young human who had outwitted one of the galaxy's most formidable trainers. Eli and Rena remained behind, examining the drone and discussing improvements. The experience had taught Eli that strength alone was not enough. Creativity, observation, and clever strategy were the keys to success. "Today, you proved humans aren't just strong or clever," Rena said softly. "We can outthink, outmaneuver, and surprise in ways the aliens never anticipate. That's how we'll continue to succeed." Eli nodded, looking out over the empty arena. "I understand now. It's not just about winning a duel or proving a point. It's about showing everyone that humans have something special, something they can't ignore." Rena smiled. "Exactly. And this is only the beginning. Humans have always been underestimated. But now, we've started changing that perception. Your victory will inspire others, and the aliens will have to respect us in a new way. Eli's eyes shone with determination. Then we keep going. We push further, learn more, and continue to show what humans can do. No one will ever mock us again. The sun, or what passed for a sun in the artificial sky above Zyphar, cast long shadows across the arena. Eli knew that more challenges lay ahead, but he also knew that humans had a unique power that no alien could ever fully understand. The power to think, adapt, and innovate in ways that changed the course of any battle. As he walked toward the maintenance bay with Rena, Eli felt a deep sense of pride and purpose. He had faced mockery, hardship, and nearly impossible odds. He had been underestimated, ridiculed, and struck down. Yet he had risen above it all, and in doing so, he had not only proven himself but also reminded the galaxy that humans were a species to be reckoned with. That night, as he rested and reviewed the day's events, Eli thought about the journey so far, the humiliation, the secret training, the lessons from Rena, and the thrilling victory against Varkon. Every challenge had been a stepping stone, every failure a lesson, and every success a testament to human ingenuity. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "We are clever. We are adaptable. We are human. And we can do anything." Somewhere in the shadows, Rena smiled knowingly. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long, but Eli had shown that a single mind, guided by determination, intelligence, and creativity, could change everything. The future of humans among the stars was no longer uncertain. They had proven that they could not only survive but excel, adapt, and lead in ways no one expected. The story of a young human and his clever drone would be remembered across Zyphar for generations, not because he was the strongest or the fastest, but because he showed the galaxy the true strength of humans. The ability to think differently, innovate, and rise above any challenge. And with that, a new era of respect, and perhaps even fear of human ingenuity began. One that no alien, trainer, or skeptic could ever ignore.